everyone, welcome to this session. So in this video, we'll see how we can write a code which will figure out whether a given number or string is a palindrome or not. So let's first understand what is palindrome. So a palindrome is a string or number that reads the same forward and backward. For example, 1 to 1. So if you read it from forward or backward, it is the same number, right? But for example, 1 to 3, it is not a palindrome because from forward it is different, and if you start reading it from backward 3 to 1, then it is different. And if we take example of these two strings, then these are also palindrome, right? For example, race car. So if you read it from forward, RACECAR, it is this, and then if you even read it from backward, RACECAR, so it is also a palindrome. And even if there's a single character, then that will also be considered a palindrome because the backward and forward reading of that particular character is going to be same. All right, so before we start coding this, let's just first understand that what are the steps that we should be keeping in mind in order to apply the logic. So we are going to take this example of race car. So if you have been given a string, the simplest way is that, okay, if the first character matches with the last one, we are good. Then we can move on to the second one. The second one should match with the second last. Then the third last should match with the third character, right? And then it should meet in the middle. All right, so this is the logic that we have to keep in mind. So we know that we have to trace this string from left and right, and we have to keep on matching each and every character, and if everything matches, then that will be a palindrome. All right, now the challenge is that how we are going to do this. So we know that, just imagine that you have kept your two fingers, one on the left, the first character, okay, so over here, and you have kept your other finger over here. So that means you have two fingers, one on the leftmost character and one on the rightmost character. Now indexing for any string or number is going to start from 0. So the position of R is going to be 0, position of A is going to be 1, and so on, right? So that means from 0 to 6 we have these indexes. So we know that the first character, the left position, will start from 0, but we have to identify what will be the rightmost position, because here I have taken an example of race car, but then it could be a different string, right? For example, if I take another example of ma'am, then the length changes, correct? So the left, we are always going to know that, okay, this is the indexing is going to start from 0, but we have to figure out the rightmost position and how we are going to figure this out. So we have a method, length method of string, that is something that we can use, but there is only one problem with the string, not exactly problem, but that is how it functions. So if you take out the length of this particular string, race car, so it won't give you the length as 6 because this is indexing and it starts from 0, but the length that it is going to give you will be 7. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, so the length is going to be 7. Okay, so whatever the length of the string you will have, if you just subtract 1 from that, right, -1, then you will get the indexing, correct, the last position. So length of this string -1, so it will be 7, then -1 6, so we will get the last position. Okay, so now we will have the first position as 0, and we also have the last position. So that way what we can do is we can compare the first and the last. If they do not match, then exit. Otherwise we will just increment the left one and decrement the right one, as in we have to move forward, move towards the center. Okay, so the first point is clear that we have to take two pointers, left and right. So let's just go ahead and get started. So let's first create a function. So I'm going to create a function is palindrome and function, and we need some sort of input, right? So we are going to pass a parameter here. Okay, now we have to take two pointers, left and right. So let left, and it is always going to be 0 because the indexing starts from 0, right? That is what we just discussed. And how we are going to figure out the right pointer? So let right. So what is our input? This is our input s. So s dot length and then -1. That's what we discussed, right? Because the length is going to not, it doesn't count from 0, it counts from 1. So the length of any string is going to be 1 2 3 4 and so on, right? So if we subtract 1, then we are going to get the exact position of the last character or number, whatever it is. Okay, so now we have both the pointers, left and right, and if you see the index, it is starting from 0 and then it goes on increasing, right? So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. So we have to run the loop till the left is less than right. Okay, so if 0 is less than 6, then compare and then, like, increment by 1. So we have to keep on comparing. If 0 is less than 6, if 1 is less than 5, if 2 is less than 4, and then at the end 3. Okay, so we are going to use a while loop. So while left is less than right, and what do we have to do inside this? We have have to compare the values. Okay, so let me just write it here so that you can see it clearly, or I'm just gonna remove these. We have to compare the values. So if value of what? Value of given string or number, right? Which we have inside this particular parameter, right? So if s of left, that means whatever of this string or number is at this position. So s of 0, that means the first one. If this is not equals to s of right. So for example, like, it will start comparing from 0 and then 6. So let's say it doesn't match. Then that simply means that it is not a palindrome, right? Even if a single one does not match, then it is not a palindrome. So what we can do is we can return false. But let's say if it matches, okay? So let's say if your s of left, that means s of 0 and then s of like whatever at your rightmost position. So in this case, it is 6, right? So s of 6. If s of 0 matches with s of 6, then what we have to do is we have to increment. We don't have to do anything in that case. We just have to proceed. So we are going to increment left by 1. So we have to shift the position, right? From 0, we have to go to 1. And here from 6, we have to go to 5. Okay, so here what we are going to do is, and here we are traversing from right. That means we have to keep on, we cannot use right plus plus, right? Because we have to go this way, not this way, right? So we have to do right minus minus. Okay, and we have to keep on doing this till it till the condition is true. That means when it reaches the middle, it will be false, right? And if these are the cases, if everything matches, what we'll do is we'll return true. So let's have a look at this again. Okay, so we have a function here. We have taken 2 pointers, left and right. So left, we know that it is going to, the index is always going to start from 0, and for the rightmost position, what we did, we determined the length and we have subtracted 1. Okay, so we got the last position. So we have the left pointer and the right pointer. So this one we have, and we have the last one. Okay, now what we are doing is we are just comparing whether this position is lesser than this position. If it is true, then go inside the loop. Now we are comparing the values at these positions. Okay, so it is going to first take the initial value, right? So initially this is 0 and this is s of right is what initially. So the length will be 7, 7 minus 1, 6. So it is going to take this position. So it is going to compare whether the value, right, s of left and s of right, whether the value is same or not. If it is not same, then return false. And if it is same, then what we have to do is we have to increment left by 1. So initially it was 0, now it will go to 1, and we have to decrement right. So it was 6, now it has to go to 5. Okay, and then again it will compare. So it will keep on doing this, and if if it keeps on matching, then it will just kind of keep on doing this logic, and then at last it is going to exit the loop, and then we are just returning true in that case. All right, now let's call this function and check. So I'm gonna call this function is palindrome, and here let's just pass, for example, this, and now let me check this. So it is true, right? But let's say, let me give something random, and then this is not a palindrome, right? Because if you read it from forward and then if you read it from backward, it comes as different. Okay, so it should return as false. So see, this is false. And what if we give some, let me give this one as well, race car. Sorry, we just have to give the race car here, and then let's just run this. It should return true. So it is true. And what if we give some number over here? It is giving true. But if I give as 1 2 3, it is returning true. You see, what does this mean? This means that this is not working for number, and the reason is because to apply this, okay, you need to convert your input to a string. So let's just do this. Okay, so I will convert this to string first. Okay, so that even if somebody enters a number, I'm going to convert that to a string, so that this particular this could work. Okay, because this doesn't work with numbers. This is for string. Okay, the length method does not work with numbers. It is a string method. So let str, let's say, and then s dot, this is what we have to convert to string. So to string, and that's it. Now we have to use this str dot length -1. Okay, and here we have to now compare not with string, because we have converted this to str, right? We have applied this method so that even if it is string, it's fine. If it is a number, it is going to convert it to a string and then store it here, right? So here we have to use this str, and then here as well str, and then save. Now let's just check with, we have entered 1 2 3, right? It should return as false. See, it returned false. Now if I enter as 1 2 1, it should return true, right? So now this is working. So just you have to keep these sort of points points in your mind that like what will happen in different cases. So because we are using this one, right, length str like string dot length, so this only works with strings, right, not with numbers. So what if anybody enters number? So what you have to do is you have to convert your input to string first, okay, and then use that like going forward in your logic. Now let's say if somebody enters something like this, let's say -1 to 1, so we know that this is not a palindrome because a negative number cannot be a palindrome. But let's just check what's happening over here, okay. It is returning false, and that is true actually because it is a negative number and it is not a palindrome, okay. But then for such conditions it is javascript, so the output sometimes is like it's tricky to understand. So the best is to do something like this. You should put a logic here itself. So if str is less than 0, then return false. So if somebody has entered a negative number, you have to return false. So if I enter here as 1 2 3 or whatever it is, it should return as false. All right, so we saw how we can figure out a palindrome if it is a string or if it is a number or if it is a negative number. So there are other logics where you can use reverse method, but that's a bit lengthy. So in that case, what generally like the logic generally goes something like this, that whatever value you have given as an input, right, you will split that input values, as in let's say if I have given race car, so you can split each and every characters of race car and then you can put it in an array, and then you can use the reverse method of the array and then again join the string, okay. But that's a bit lengthy, and this one is like one of the like best approaches I believe which is available for palindrome. So I hope you have understood this, and if there is any doubts or if there is anything else that you want to discuss at least on palindromes, you can drop your comments in the comment section. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.